Welcome to the Pump and Dump channel for another video. This time two topics. Number one, this young trader who killed himself because he thought he had racked up big losses on Robinhood. And second topic is of course going to be the model portfolio. I decided to make a transaction for it today at the close. So getting right into this topic, this 20-year-old trader, he thought he lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. He thought he was down 730,000. And because he thought he had lost so much money, he decided to kill himself because he obviously must have thought he couldn't have recovered from this possibly, and he didn't want to, have his parents or whatever be in the situation where they have to bail him out. And he did what he thought was the best thing to, I guess, protect his family or whatever. It's a very sad story, but in the note to his family here it says he claimed the puts he bought and the shares sold should have cancelled out, but in hindsight he said he had no clue what he was doing. This is this is really what it centers around. He thought and he claimed, he was certain that the puts, which is the right to sell shares, and the shares that he sold, which he would have to then of course buy back, he thought that this was a hedged trade. It was kind of like betting on red and black on the roulette. But of course, it's a directional trade, two ways in the same direction. And if the shares that he was betting against had gone down, he would have made a lot more money. And I presume, he must have seen them go up, and he thought that, he was just getting destroyed. And it's just the way it is, unfortunately. But anyway, you can see here that it's probably misinterpreting what's happened here, and that's why they write he thought that he had lost that amount. This buying power here, I mean, this is a Robinhood app. I don't know what a Robinhood app looks like because we don't have it in Europe, but it could be like, I mean, I have this on my broker account too, that when I bought my my put option for Capital Oil and Gas a few weeks ago at it was in the 20s, and I bought a $21 put, and it kind of listed like my exposure as being negative 1,300 or something like that. So it kind of made me feel like I was down on the position after buying it, but I wasn't. And this is probably he misinterpreted what has happened. He couldn't read what was being told to him by the broker, and as a consequence he made a big mistake, obviously. And this is going to center around, of course, what I've been talking about in past videos, is that a lot of people on YouTube are talking about investing in stocks and all this kind of stuff, and most of them have no idea what they are talking about. They do not understand the upside, the downside of the investments they are looking at. They just see like, oh, this trend is hot right now, work from home, let's buy Zoom, let's buy Slack, let's buy this, let's buy that. And this other guy, I've seen, he has like a lot of subscribers, and he bought like, I don't know, like $40,000, $50,000 worth of Nordic American tankers in the fives, and was thinking it was a great pick on a hunch, bet a bunch. And when it went up, he didn't sell. He felt great about himself, and then a few days later it was back down from lower than where he bought it at. And then he was like, this is not, it was like for him a short-term trade, and he wasn't going to hold this long term. And once he was down, of course he bought some more, and then it the story changed, and then he's like, long term, blah blah blah. And it was very sad, but people followed, of course, this person, I guess, because I mean, when you have lots of subscribers, they're there to get your ideas, your stock tips, so to speak. And even if you're like trying to present it as not being stock picks, when you're making videos like that, it's kind of trying to entice people to think that they need to keep following you, and that you are making these great investments, and everything's going to be fine. So that's just I guess what I'm going to have to say for that. So getting to the next topic, the Pump and Dump channel stock picks, the model portfolio, where I'm only allowed to buy at the close. So after theoretically putting the closing price and say if it's a buy or sell, I I've put in DHT Holdings. I'll just bring up the website to prove it's at 542. It's very close. I bought some during the open at 531. I put in the bid for 533 when it was falling, and I got filled at 531. So it was already below 533, but 533 was really the point at which I was willing to buy. So I bought 100 shares more. And here the position, I buy it after the close at 542 because it's not that far off of my 533 target. And I see the upside is there, $11. It looks good, all is fine. So going into this shortly to explain the thesis why I bought it, what the upside, the downside is here. So at current VLCC rates, my valuation is about $11.29, and that's not accounting for Q2 earnings, which will add a lot more, and maybe add another dollar more, who knows. And it's that's kind of the intrinsic value, this $11 that I'm using as my target, and I like to buy things at half off, so around 533 is where my buying target was. So I see that I have like an upside of about 100% here in this stock, and that assumes that VLCC rates are at 45,000. I think there's going to be a process by which the market is going to recognize the intrinsic value of this stock is not 542, it's around 11 at these current prices. It could happen that VLCC rates crash, let's say they go down to 40,000, and let's say the stock would then, in theory, I don't know, let's say, I'll just make this up, let's say it will fall to $3.60. Then the market might say, hey, $3.60 is really cheap for this stock that pays out like a 30, 40, 50 cent dividend. Let's buy it. And then they'll bid it up to, let's say, 720, let's say double of 360. And then it will stick at the intrinsic value, and when the VLCC rates recover back to 45,000, it will lift it up to 11. So this is a potential scenario where I would be putting in more money, I guess. But for now, all is good. Here was DHT, 2,000 into it. In this theoretical portfolio, gives me 369 shares. And I'm feeling very confident about this, that this is going to work in the near term. Just like I feel confident about Range Resources and African Gold Group. So for Range Resources, today was a mixed day. I mean, it was flat on the day, but you can see here on the open it was down, and then it rallied up into the sevens. I put in an order to buy 100 shares at 650 because I was looking at this support here, and I had my model. My model said the incorrect pricing using, I talked about this yesterday, but the incorrect pricing model that would assume 671, and the the intrinsic value was closer to $11, so it was a no-brainer for me to add some more of that. African Gold Group, I bought some at the open, 34 cents a share, about 3,000, and can't remember exactly, but in the 3,000s. Of course, it's down after I bought, so this is something I'm not really worried about here. The downside, the downside, I guess, is really that the upside could be curtailed, because it might be that it takes some time for them to get the feasibility study out and have the investors look over it who are considering investing into the company to get this thing going. And in that case scenario, if the time lag is just feeding away, they might run out of cash before they can raise the money, and they might have to do a private placement, and then they may issue more shares, and they might even put warrants on it, but it's uncertain as to where they would do that private placement. I would think that 60 cents or 55 cents on the low end would be a reasonable financing level, with maybe some additional warrants in it. But if they do a financing here at 35 cents a share, I would really hope that they would be considerate that you know, that they don't put in any warrants in the financing at this level, because you know, financing at this level versus a financing with warrants at a high level is going to be, you know, much more devastating to the upside, the long-term upside. And I think the company would do well, especially with the management having some options in the 22 cents. I think it's 22 or 23 cents for 5 years. I think they would do really well to minimize the dilution so that they have the most upside possible on their options. But we'll see. I think that's going to do it then for the video. So this is where it stands. Remember, this is just my theoretical model portfolio. You should not base your investment decisions off of what I do here, just like you shouldn't do it off of other people, even if they tell you the most you know, cunning story ever. You want to either do your research or have someone you truly trust who has a track record of proving that they know what they're doing. And I'm thinking about, you know, like, because I'm doing this going into 31st of December, I'm going to end this portfolio. I'm just going to like do this 6 months to illustrate my level of skill and competencies. It may be that I get completely destroyed, but I don't think that is likely. And so yeah, don't take this you know, as a recommendation for you to buy or not to buy. Even if what I tell you here sounds great, it could be that I'm completely wrong, and it could be that I'm right, but the market is going to disregard that and just take whatever it wants into the toilet. And if you are going to follow someone, don't put all your money into it, because you know, trusting just one person where you don't have like a track record of their performance that you have like vetted, where they're just saying I've done this in the past, and you know, you need to do your own homework and make sure that what they say is really true. So yeah, I'll quit rambling on and end the video. So one thing I want to point out is there was some guy who put a comment, and he probably will see this video too, but he put a comment and I see it in the notifications, but I don't see it under my video, and I don't know where it would be going. So if you put down a comment, I will, you know, I will try and reply if it's a question, but if I can't find it, you know, I can't find it. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, and opinions, as always, just leave it in the comments section. And if you like the content and you want to follow and see how this thing goes, don't forget to subscribe. And with that, have a good day.